every time I step on the field, whether it was football in high school or baseball in high school and today, like I want to be prepared, being focused and just being ready to do whatever I have to do to like help the team win. And, sometimes it's coming to the game and bunting or running a little bit or, making defensive plays or something like that. Just being able to do whatever the coaches ask me to do is something I think I've learned really well to do over the years.
Good morning, Hatter baseball fans, and welcome back to another edition of Coffee with Hats. I'm your host, Mark Mashad Jr., the Director of Baseball Operations, and today we're going to sit down with utility player Jake Murphy. Jake's been a part of a lot of winning programs through high school and throughout his tenure here at Stetson, and he's going to talk to us a lot about what he looks to bring to those programs and how that's impacted him as a person and as a competitor. He's also going to talk about the in-game process of keeping your focus, how to get your focus back throughout the duration of 9 innings. And he's also going to talk about who he modeled his game after growing up as a young man in Southlake, Texas. So we're going to get to all those things and more in another edition today of Coffee with Hats, and I can't wait to get to it. Welcome, Jake.
How's it going, Mark?
It's going well, man. So you got the Stetson hat on. What are you working with coffee-wise?
Got a little Morning Handsome.
Oh, nice.
I was just browsing through the cabinet, and our friend was not working with too much, so it was kind of scarce pickings in there.
Nice. Well, hey, the Morning Handsome one, I mean, that's kind of a good one to grab out of the cabinet,
Yeah, it makes me feel good in the morning.
Hey, and starting off with those good vibes is an awesome, great way to start.
For sure.
So let's just jump right into it. Everybody wants to know, what was it like for you growing up in Southlake, Texas?
Yeah, so I was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. Lived there for 2.5 years. My dad's work brought us down to kind of the DFW area, and lived here for the past 17 years. Growing up, I think it was important. My parents wanted me to get involved in many sports and stay on top of my school and stuff like that. So I was always bouncing around from football to basketball to baseball. My parents wouldn't let me play tackle football up until like 7th grade. So started with like flag football and stuff like that. And 7th grade football came around, and I was really excited to play tackle football, but I was like 5'2", like 100 pounds. Like I was tiny. So I made C team both 7th and 8th grade year. Wasn't very good at football. And I could play basketball a little bit, and I was defensive and could rebound a little bit. And then going into baseball, we kind of had our little travel team with kids in our neighborhood. We'd travel, a couple places out of Texas, which was always fun. We got to go to like Disney one year. And I was playing shortstop pretty much all the time for them. But it wasn't until like high school, I'd say, that I got really serious about sports. I grew a little bit, got better at football. Decided to hang up basketball about my sophomore year just to focus more on football and baseball. I mean, school was tough. I mean, me and my friends would get together to do like projects and stuff like that. But as soon as we got that stuff done, we were pretty much going to this one kid's house and, like I said, just playing pickup games of basketball, trying to dunk the ball on each other and playing two-hand touch. We lived really close to the senior high, so we could just go over there and use all the facilities over there and stuff like that. But growing up with 3 sisters was fun. Let's say I didn't get my choice of movie selection if it was movie night. I might have been watching Barbies a little too often.
What would have been your choice? What did you want to watch?
I mean, I didn't really know any better. I wasn't really exposed to a bunch of like guy movie stuff, but like if we could watch Pirates of the Caribbean, like that was a big win for me.
So that was a big win for you when you got to have a little Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
What were you doing outside of sports? Like, were you like out hunting lizards, or like what are you doing out there?
yeah, so I guess being from Texas, a lot of people kind of assume you're a hunting, fishing kind of guy, but that's not really like what's going on. I mean, there's people around here that do that, but that wasn't really like
Mhm.
my family. Like my dad's brother's family, like they do that and stuff like that. But um, we're more. We had like a creek that we'd go down and just like explore a little bit. Um, but like I said, like we would just kind of just go do active things. If not that, we played video games here and there. Um, but we always like being outdoor in Texas summers. We're usually pretty hot, so um, we just like to get outside and get some sun.
Nice. Awesome. So let's talk. Let's go into Carroll High School. You went to Carroll High School, and looking at everything in Carroll, like football. You played football in high school. You played baseball in high school, and from everything that I can find, you were always a part of winning programs. What do you like? What are you looking to bring whenever you're involved in a game or in a whatever we're playing or a
Mm.
practice?
Yeah. Well, I think what I learned from high school sports with football and baseball is just how important the preparation is going into it. Um, and I think, every time I step on the field, whether it was football in high school or baseball in high school and today, like I want to be prepared, being focused and just being ready to do whatever I have to do to like help the team win. And sometimes it's coming to the game and bunting or running a little bit or making defensive plays or something like that. Just being able to do whatever the coaches ask me to do is something I think I've learned really well to do over the years. So kind of going back to like football, I think high school football here is such a big deal that it's taken so seriously of scouting reports and um, just knowing exactly what the other team's going to do. Like being a safety on defense, like we would just run constantly over their formations and what plays they like out of the formations. Where when it was in the game and we saw, the receiver motioning from left to right in this formation, like we knew what play was coming. And we weren't the biggest, fastest, strongest team out there. Like we were usually like outsized, but I think our preparation really led to our team success. So I think that transferred over a little bit from football to baseball, from learning about pitchers and stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
to stuff like that, to where now it's set to, if I'm on the bench, like just kind of watching a game, to kind of just be ready to, all right, like what's this guy throwing? What's his pitcher's tendencies with a runner on base? Like what's his timing? And kind of just watching the other team's hitters, like what are their swings looking like and stuff like that. So when I do get the chance to go into the game, I'm ready.
And talking a little bit about that, that'll roll right into, another thing I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on. You are like the quintessential, you're a team guy. You're always prepared, you're always ready. Um, you've had starts, you've come off the bench, you've come off in pinch running situations. Obviously, a little bit speed is a threat that you have. How do you handle this role that you have? And a lot of people have a hard time accepting a role. So, like, can you talk a little bit about being able to accept your role? I know you're a total team, whatever it takes to win and be a part of the team and the program. So, yeah, can you just talk to us about that a little
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I would say is it is tough. Like, I think kind of freshman and sophomore year, it really was tough just being engaged the whole game. It's so easy to get caught up and just kind of joking around in the dugout and
bit? Mm-hmm.
just kind of losing focus. But you soon realize, like, if you're losing focus and the coaches call you in the game, like, you're kind of like, you don't really have a chance to perform. You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to perform well. So I think that's just been the hardest part of me, of just staying locked in throughout the game to when the coaches, call your number that you're ready to go.
Which is,
But yeah,
you see a lot of guys nowadays, like if you're watching the College World Series or you're watching a game on TV, they pan into the dugout and you see guys are doing all kinds of crazy, wild things. Typically that's probably more like a pitcher who's got no chance to start that day or
mm,
whatever it is. How do you like, what do you do to kind of just keep yourself flipping that switch, going from, okay, I kind of zoned out for a minute there, but I'm back here,
Yeah, I think just kind of finding like the right couple guys on the bench that are gonna like kind of stay focused with you,
Mm-hmm.
and even just like bouncing around the dugout and like talking to like other guys that you normally don't talk to, and just kind of getting their like thoughts on the game, like what do you think's going on, like what are you seeing from this pitcher, and just kind of talking to everyone and keeping everyone engaged in the game.
So you're constantly talking the game. That's great. That's awesome. That's a great way for somebody to stay in the game. And then not only are you keeping yourself in the game, but you're also challenging other players without necessarily getting in their face, but you're challenging other players to stay in the game as well.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great. It's a great little tip. Okay, so then let's say you get that chance in a game, and I want to actually see if you can walk us through like the championship game 2018 against Jacksonville. You get called in to come into pinch run for Brooks Wilson, and you end up scoring the walk-off run to win the ASUN championship. And I kind of want to get, if you can remember back that far, what was, how were you using this same system of just trying to stay in the game? Can you walk us through that whole scenario?
Yeah. So at that time, I was pinch running in kind of big situations to where, I've got more speed than Brooks Wilson. I think I was, better utility on the base path than him. So I think he walked or maybe got a single or something to right. I come into first base. The coach just kind of looked down the dugout like, Murphy, go. And I was kind of like caught off guard a little bit, but like also a little bit ready. And going into like the ASUN championship like that, like it's always kind of a little nerve wracking being thrown to the game in the ninth inning. So I'm over at first base, and I'm a little antsy. And I think Brewer's always the funniest when I get into the game to run. He's always like, Murphy, don't screw this up, dude. Like this is your time to shine. Like don't mess this up. So shout out to Brewer for always making me feel really welcome at first base. But I think Fago was up, and he kind of hits a single to right center, and kind of just off the bat, and just from practicing this all the time, like you see a single to right center, and if you get like a good secondary at first base, like you can get to third base like with good speed. That's a tough throw for the center fielder or right fielder to make, coming up on the run and throwing it to third. So went first to third on that. I think Fago stayed on first, and then I think Georgie was up the next at bat and singled up the middle, and we scored, and it was awesome.
Great. That's awesome. What was that beginning of that day like for you? What's it like waking up going into the ASUN championship day?
Yeah, it was exciting. Breakfast at the hotel, and just everyone kind of knew like what we had to accomplish that day. Like we're still having fun, but I think deep down like everyone was locked in. We knew like the task that we wanted to accomplish that day. So we try and keep it serious on the bus ride. We get to the field, and we got our VP and our defense and throwing and stuff like that. And like you want to keep like a good energy going, but you still want to keep like a locked in mindset of, hey, like this can be 9 innings that we got to grind through. So you could just feel the energy, and I think it was a tip of the cap to the captains on that team of just kind of getting everyone in place, getting everyone ready for that game, because being a freshman, it was kind of your first big experience in a championship game. So shout out to the captains of that team for really getting us prepared.
Nice. And was that just kind of a balance of be prepared and keeping it loose, keeping the focus correct? Would you say?
I think so. Yeah. So like I said, stay loose. Kind of, you want to joke around, you want to keep smiles on people's faces, but always, being able to flip the switch and be like, all right, it's go time.
It's good to get your viewpoint on that, because typically we always talk to captains about being a captain. We don't necessarily get that viewpoint from other players of how those captains, were to them. I kind of get I kind of get a thought on you as a very routine oriented person. Do you have any routines? Like, how do you go about your days throughout the course of the year? Do you have typical routines that you stick to, that type of deal?
Yeah. So I've never really been. I think growing up, I wasn't really a routine guy, but kind of later in high school, and I think getting to college, I kind of realized the importance of almost like a to-do list with your day, and just kind of getting things you want done accomplished. So, what I've tried to be better about the past, I think during this quarantine especially, is just writing down kind of what things I want to accomplish the next day, and kind of getting up and doing it. Whether it's working out, like nowadays, I'll write down what I want to do, like with my workout, what I want to get accomplished, because I know the next day it's going to be so much tougher to like write stuff down and actually follow suit, or if I was just like making up a workout myself. So writing down, some studying stuff I want to get done, some baseball stuff I want to get done. Like I'll usually have some chores around the house that I got to get done. So I usually like getting all that stuff done before 2 or 3, so that way I can have some free time in the afternoon. And I kind of think that's the same way I kind of balance school. School classes in the morning. We got usually like lift in the morning, and then just being ready for practice, in the afternoon. So that when practice is done, I can eat and kind of hang out a little bit. So that's the routine I've been sticking to for the past couple of years, and I think that works best for me.
Talk to us a little bit about being the type of competitor that you want to be and that you are.
So yeah, just kind of from what I've been talking about through like high school and stuff, like we're always competing, and I think a lot of competitive stuff just comes like with my family. Like my family's pretty competitive with 3 sisters. Like me and my little sister will go play Call of Duty against each other nowadays. Like just the one-on-one, it's fun like that. Or we'll play spike ball as a family. We'll play volleyball. So just kind of like growing up we were always kind of competing, and I think it was really cool watching like The Last Dance. I don't know if you watched it or not, but watching
every episode.
how insane Michael Jordan was with his competitive factor. Like I thought I was competitive, and then you look at Michael Jordan, and like if some guy looks at him the wrong way, he's like, all right, I'm gonna come out and kick your butt in the next game or something like that. So
yeah.
So I like to think I'm competitive until I saw Mike, and then he kind of put me in my place.
Yeah, I grew up with the Michael Jordan era, and I mean he was the guy, and I thought it was really funny with the George Karl story. I think it was George Karl with the Seattle Supersonics, when everyone was like, yeah, don't say anything to Michael Jordan because he'll use it as motivation. And then he sees him at dinner and he doesn't say anything to him. And then Michael Jordan uses that as motivation that he didn't say anything to him. So it's like you can't win,
Yeah.
And just making those little competitive things in your own head. Who did you look at as a to model your game after when you were as a baseball player? Did you have anybody that you did, pro player?
No, I think I was an overall Rangers fan. So growing up watching, I think probably like Michael Young was probably one of my favorite players to watch growing up. And then kind of Elvis Andrus came to the picture. Ian Kinsler was always fun to watch. But I mean, we'd go to Ranger games, and I was a big Rangers fan, and they had a couple World Series run in 2011 and stuff like that. But I never really had like kind of that one player that I really looked up to. But if they were wearing a Ranger jersey, I was a big fan.
So what drew you to Michael Young, let's say?
I think just kind of just a clean guy who played the game smart, was good, obviously, but there wasn't off the field problems. Like he was a good face in the community. He just seemed like a good guy to have in the locker room. So yeah, just somebody who wasn't making mistakes, wasn't screwing up off the field, but showed up and was ready to play every day.
Awesome. Well, and that obviously, you can see that it's definitely as the type of person that you are. And you show up, you're ready to play every single day. You keep your nose clean, and it seems like you make good decisions, and you're a great asset to the program. So, I appreciate your time. Thanks a lot for coming on here. And what I want to do now is kind of move into the last segment called 3 Strikes. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. And I want you just to kind of say first Stetson baseball player off the top of your head that comes to your mind. Okay.
All right.
Funniest on the team, guy that makes you laugh.
Dilbert, 100%.
Austin Dilbert. Okay. He's a popular answer on many of these questions. Player that would get the winning lotto ticket, but then lose it?
Woody.
Austin Wood. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And then, for the third strike, who would you say is the best ping pong player on the team?
I'm gonna give it to George.
And Georgie Arenas.
Yeah, respect. The ping pong thing has really been controversial over the past 3 years, and the rankings are always bouncing around. So, but Georgie is one of the guys who plays probably the least amount, but every time he does play, he wins. So it's kind of like, okay, like I feel like I'm the best. Now I'm going to challenge Georgie. Georgie usually puts the kid in their place. So
nice. So that's kind of the tell-all. You got somebody who's on there playing a lot, and then it's like, okay, let's have him play Georgie and see how good you are.
Yeah. No, I think Mac's up there too, but I think overall chance I got to give it to Mr. Arenas.
All right. Well, Jake, hey, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on here, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
Awesome.